Welcome to the drama studio at the University of Newcastle, New South Wales, Australia. My name is Michael Ewans and I'm the translator and director of the production of Antigone, which you're about to see in a video recording. We've chosen to direct Sophocles' play in a replica of the theatre shape which he originally used himself. I'm standing in the middle of a round orchestra or dance floor, almost exactly half the size of the one which Sophocles used for the original production. Behind me is the facade of a building with a pair of doors, the Skene building as the Greeks called it, in front of which the action takes place. And when we played the stage production of this drama, we had this orchestra surrounded from there right round in front of me to here by the audience rising up on rostra just as they did in the original Greek shape. To try and replicate that in the video production, we've used cameras surrounding the action on three sides, and also we'll be cross-cutting during the performance to a further camera mounted up in the roof of the studio, replicating the kind of view which the upper levels of the audience had in the original production. So we are faithful to Sophocles' concept of the stage shape and the relationship between actors and audience. We're also faithful to his play in that we're setting it in modern dress. The ancient Greeks used the stories from their legendary past as pegs on which to hang issues of direct contemporary relevance. Sophocles' Antigone, though set in a legendary Thebes around 1300 BC, deals with issues of the mid-5th century, crucial issues about the relationship between power and democratic rule, between men and women, and between other rivalries and conflicts. In order to bring those over to our modern audience, we chose not to use masks, male actors, and Greek dress, but to clothe our production of Antigone in modern dress and set it in a contemporary setting as war-torn and torn by discord and internal strife as the Thebes in which Sophocles originally set Antigone. Our choice was to set it in Sarajevo, Bosnia, during the year 1994 or 1995. The city under siege, which Thebes was in the original story, becomes one of the most conspicuous cities under siege in modern times. In this video production, we've tried as far as possible to replicate what happened on stage in our production. This means in particular that we're using light levels rather lower than are customary on television. We want to give you the impression of watching the drama together with our Newcastle audiences in 1996. I therefore strongly recommend that when watching this video, you turn your house lights down in the room where you're watching it, much as if you were in the cinema. Then, hopefully, you will get some replica of the experience that our audience had in Newcastle when we first performed the play. I hope you enjoy the production. Thank you.
There is no suffering, disaster, shame or deprivation, which I have not seen in your misfortunes and in mine. What is this edict which they say the general has recently imposed on all the citizens? Do you know, have you heard? Or is it hidden from you that our dear ones will soon suffer at the hands of enemies?
To me, Antigone, no word about those two to us has come. Pleasant or painful, since we two lost our two brothers on one day when they struck each other down. And since the Argive army vanished early this night, I do not know whether my life is now more fortunate, or I have suffered more.
I knew it. And I brought you out beyond the courtyard door so you might hear alone.
What is it? Clearly some dark news is troubling you.
Has Kreon not decided that of our two brothers, one deserves the honour of a grave, and one does not? They say he's buried Eteocles beneath the earth, according to our laws and customs. He'll receive full privileges down below among the dead. While as for Polyonices, he died wretchedly. He has apparently proclaimed to the townspeople that no one may bury his body or cry lament for him. He must be left unwept, unburied. A sweet treasure trove for birds is spotting to enjoy as food. That's what they say, the good Kreon has now proclaimed must be obeyed by you and me. Yes, I mean me. And he is coming here to make his proclamation clear to all who do not know it. He means business. Anyone who does these things will be sentenced. And the people of the city will stone them to death. That's what you're up against. You will soon show if you are true born or disgrace your noble family.
My sister, this is terrible. But if it's true, what help can I give weaving or unweaving such a tangled skein?
Work with me, help me now.
What must I dare to do? What do you mean?
Help my hands with the corpse for burial.
You're going to bury him, although the city is forbidden to?
Yes, he is my brother. Yours as well, although you may not wish it. I will not be caught betraying him.
How are you so determined when Kreon's deposed?
He has no right to keep me from my own.
No! Think, sister, how the father of us two days hated and despised when his own search revealed his ghastly past. And he struck out both eyes with his own hand. Then his mother, spite his, because she was his wife as well, destroyed her life by strangling in a woven noose. Third, our two wretched brothers on one day fought hand to hand and killed each other, bringing down upon themselves a common fate. Now we two girls are left alone. First, think how terribly we'll perish if we go against the law, if our rulers votes and powers. Consider this, we were born female, so we can't fight men. And we are ruled by people stronger than ourselves. We'll have to bear in silence this command, and others even worse. So I will beg our relatives below the earth to pardon me, since I am now compelled to obey those in authority. There is no sense in going further than we can.
I would not ask you. Later, if you change your mind, I would not welcome any help from you. Be what you want to be, but I will bury him. When I do that, death will be beautiful. Dear to him, I will lie beside a dear one. I will be a pure and holy criminal, for I must please the dead below far longer than the people here. I will lie there forever. You, if you behave like this, pay no respect to values which the gods revere.
That is not true, but I don't have the strength to go against the other citizens.
That's your excuse. I'm leaving now to make a tomb for my own dearest brother.
You'll suffer for it, I'm terrified.
Do not feel fear for me, just sort out your own life.
At least tell no one else what you are doing. Keep it secret, so will I.
No, shout it out aloud. You will be even more my enemy if you stay silent and do not tell everyone.
Your heart is very warm to such still deeds.
I know I'm pleasing those I am most bound to please.
If you can, do it. Your desire is impossible.
I'll do all that I can. Then I will stop.
We should not even start to strike war. We cannot do.
If that's your attitude, I'll hate you. And you'll rightly lie beneath the hatred of the dead. Let me and my own foolishness suffer this dreadful fate. I will not suffer anything so much as if I do not die with true nobility.
Go if you must. Know this, that you are mad, but truly dear to all who love you.
Ray of the sun, the very fairest light that ever shone on thieves of Seven Gates, ye have shone out at last. Eye of the golden day, rising above the streams of decay, you have compelled the white-shield man, who came from Argos ready for the fray in headlong flight.
Aroused against our land by angry claims of Polynicos, man of strife. He was an eagle crying out aloud when he flew over it, covered in feathers white as snow, with many men-at-arms and horsetail helmet plumes.
He hovered over our houses, his mouth gaping with monstrous spears to rage around our 7 gates. Then went, before his jaws were sated with our blood, so that torches of the god of fire did not cease on a crown of towers. Such a great clattering of war rose up behind his back, too hard for the great dragon's enemy to reach.
Zeus hates especially the boats of the big tongue, and when he saw them, drawing closer as a mighty stream, in all the overconfidence of bringing gold, he raised his thunderbolt and hurled it on the one who rushed to cry their victory from our highest battlement.
Shake him down, he crashed to earth, torch still in hand. The man who only recently had raged against us with blast of hate, possessed and charged crazily. It didn't work. The great war god dispensed to each his individual fate. Our mighty lead horse, scattering them all.
At the gates our 7 champions stood against their 7, equal matched, and left their armour as a victory offering to Zeus, except the 2 unfortunates, born of one father and one mother, who fought spear to spear, and have both gained their share in death.
Victory has come in all her glory, and answers back with joy to that of Thebes, the city of the chariots. Forget the war and go to sing all night in every temple of the gods. Shaker of Thebes, Bacchus, be leader of our dance!
The king is coming here, Kreon, son of Menocius, our new ruler because of new events sent by the gods. What ideas is he turning in his mind? Why has he summoned each of us as city elders to meet in special conference?
Well, men, the gods have shaken up our city with gigantic waves, but now they've set it safely back on course again. I chose to send my messengers for you, selected from all of our people. First, because I know how constantly you gave respect to Laios' power when he was king. And then, when Oedipus was ruler of this city, my sister's husband, you were loyal too. After he died, you stayed true to their sons. Now they have also perished. Falling on one day by a twin fate, they hid out, they were struck, and were polluted by the stain of kindred murder. I hold all power and the throne because I was the next of kin to those who've died. It is not possible to know a man's whole character, his mind and judgment, till he has been tested in administration and in framing laws. Now I believe that if the man who guides the city as a whole does not cling firmly to the best advice, but keeps his tongue locked tight because of fear, that shows he is and always has been worthless. If a man regards his friends or relatives as more important than his native land, him I count as nothing. May Zeus, who sees everything, know this. I would not stand in silence if I saw destruction looming up for people of this city in place of security. Nor would I ever make a man who was this country's enemy my friend. I know our country is our saviour. If she stays upright and holds a steady course, then we can make true friends. These are the principles by which I'll make this city great. And now I have proclaimed an edict, close related to our citizens about the sons of Oedipus. Eteocles died fighting for this city, and achieved surpassing merit in close combat. So we will entomb him, and pay all the sacred offerings which go below to the most excellent among the dead. As for his kinsman, I mean Polynices, who was exiled and came back intending to burn down from the citadel his father's city and its native gods, taste kindred blood, and sell the rest of us as slaves. My proclamation to the city is that no one can give him the grace of burial or sing laments for him. His body must be left unburied, food for birds and dogs to eat, mutilated in the sight of all. That's what I want. People who harm us will not ever get any more honour from me than the just. If anyone is well disposed towards this city, I will honour him in death and life.
Son of Menocius, this is what you want to do about the man who hated and the one who helped this city. You have the power to enforce any law you like over the dead, and over us who still survive.
So now look out and make sure what I've said.
Order a younger man to take this task.
I have soldiers already watching by the corpse.
Then what else do you need from us?
Do not take sides with anyone who disobeys.
No one could be so foolish as to fall in love with death.
Indeed, that is the penalty. but hopes of gain have often brought men down.
My lord, I cannot tell you I came out of breath through haste and sped light-footed here. I stopped quite often, paused for thought, and circled in my tracks to go straight back. I heard my soul say many times to me, "Fool, why go where you'll suffer punishment? You wretch, you've stopped again, and if Kreon discovers this from someone else, will that not harm you too?" I turned such thoughts around and came reluctantly and slow, so this short road became quite long. Then finally the idea won of coming here to you, and even if my news is worthless, I'll still speak out. I've come clasping firmly to one hope, that I will suffer nothing which is not my destiny.
What is it that has made you terrified?
I want to tell you first about myself. I did not do this thing, nor did I see who did it, and I should not justly come to any harm.
You've covered yourself well and put up fences right around your business. Clearly you have some strange thing to say.
Terrible news makes people very hesitant.
Won't you just tell me and get out of here?
I will. Someone has recently buried the corpse, sprinkled dry dust upon its flesh, performed the holy ritual and gone.
What are you saying? Is there a man who dared to do this?
I don't know. There was no pickaxe stroke, no earth turned by a spade. The ground was hard and dry, unbroken, not marked by the print of wheels. The person who'd done it left no trace. And when the first man on the daylight ship shows what had happened, it was like a miracle, and we were scared. The body vanished from our sight, not buried in a tomb. A light dust covered it, as if to ward pollution off. There was no trace of wild beasts or dogs coming near him or tearing him. Then noisy curses flew between us. Guard blamed guard, and finally it would have come to blows. No one was there to stop us. It seemed everyone had done the deed. No one could be proved guilty since we all claimed ignorance. We were prepared to take a red-hot iron in our hands or walk through fire and swear solemnly by the gods that we had not done this and weren't accomplices with anyone who planned and done it. At last, when all our searching got us nowhere, someone spoke and made us all bow down our faces to the ground in fear. We could not see how we could prove him wrong or come out well if we did what he said. His idea was that we must take the deed to you at once and not conceal it. This one, the bad luck of the draw condemned me to receive this privilege. I'm here against my will, and I can see you don't want me. Nobody likes a messenger who brings bad news.
Oh, my lord, for some time now I've been thinking that perhaps the gods have done this deed.
Stop now, before your words make me brimful with rage. Don't show yourself a fool as well as old. You are intolerable when you say the gods would have the slightest care about this corpse. Would they have covered him with earth because they honoured him especially as one who'd done great service? He who came to burn their colonnaded temples and their precious offerings. Burn their land and scatter to the winds their sacred laws. Have you seen gods paying respect to wicked men? It cannot be. Right from the start, this city had a group of dissidents who muttered secretly against me, tossed their heads and failed to keep their necks under the yoke of loyalty, and learned to love my rule. It's absolutely obvious they bribed these guards to do it. Money is the worst invention humans ever made, and it sacks cities and uproots from their homes. It throws good minds off course, corrupts them till they turn to shameful crimes. It's shown men how to practice villainy and be familiar with all kinds of godless work. The people who tried to do this have made sure soon or late they'll pay the penalty. Now, as Zeus still remains my lord, know this, and know it well, because I speak on oath. if you do not find out the man who made this grave, and bring him here into my sight, then you will not simply be killed. I'll string you up alive until you have revealed to me just why you did this outrage. Afterwards, if you go thieving, you will know where to gather booty. You'll have learnt not to love gains regardless of the source. You'll see the loot from shameful actions usually leads to destruction rather than to gain.
May I say something? Or just turn and go?
Do you not know your voice itself offends me?
Does it bite at your ears or in your soul?
Why do you want to know?
The culprit hurts your soul. I only hurt your ears.
It's clear you've always been a babbler.
That may be, but I never did this deed.
You did, and sold your soul for cash.
Alas, it's terrible when someone clever guesses, and guesses so wrong.
Play clever word games all you like. But if you don't bring me the culprits, you will come to realise that gains from wickedness bring suffering.
Well, may he be found. Whether he is caught or not, fortune will settle that. There's no way you will see me coming back. Beyond my hopes, beyond what I expected, I'm saved, and owe the gods great thanks.
There are many wonders in this world, and none is greater than man. He flies across the white-flecked sea, driven by stormy south winds, cleaving his path beneath the crests of threatening waves. And earth, immortal, inexhaustible, greatest of goddesses, he wears away, turning the soil with mules. His plows go back and forwards year to year. He traps light-headed birds and every tribe of savage animal, and creatures of the deep in coils of woven nets. This clever creature, man, by his skill, he subdues wild hillside beasts, puts yokes across the necks of shaggy horses, and he tames the powerful mountain bulls.
He has learned language, thoughts as swift as wind and social feelings. He has learned how to escape from sharp arrows that beat across in the clear skies, and that of driving rain. He's always ready. I never trust to tackle anything unless he is. Only from death will he not find release. He has devised the cure even for desperate diseases.
There's something in his innovative skill, subtle beyond belief. Sometimes it leads him to disaster, but at other times to good. When he respects the laws of earth and justice sworn to by the gods, he will stand high inside his city. There's no city for a rash and wicked man. Never may people share my heart or share my thoughts who would do such a thing.
This is a portent from the gods. I know this girl. How can I deny she is Antigone? O pitiable child of pitiable Oedipus, what is this? Has someone arrested you for disobedience to the king's decrees and caught you acting crazily?
This is the little bitch who did it. We caught her trying to bury him. Where is Kreon?
Just as he's needed, back he comes.
What is it? What chance must I match?
Lord, men should never pledge their word on anything, for second thoughts can give the lie to first resolve. I could have sworn I'd never come back here after the deluge of your threats. A pleasure which is longed for and then comes against all hope is greater far than any other joy. And so I come, although I perjure my sworn oath, bringing this girl, whom we caught making a grave. This time we did not cast the lots. The privilege belongs to me and no one else. Now, King, take her. Do what you want with her. Question, interrogate. I am now justly free, released from punishment.
You've brought her to me. How and where was she taken?
She was burying him. That's all there is to know.
Do you know what you are saying? Is it true?
I saw this girl as she was burying the corpse which you forbidden. Is that clear and plain enough?
How did you find and capture her?
Something like this. When we got back, with all those terrifying threats from you, we scraped away the dust which was spread on the corpse and cleaned the moist, decaying flesh. Then we sat on the hilltop, well upwind, keeping our distance to avoid the smell. Each man made sure the others kept awake with loud reminders of the fate in store if anyone was slack. That's how time passed until the sun's bright disk stood at its height and heat burned down. Then, suddenly, a whirlwind raised a storm of dust, a torment darkening the sky, which covered the whole plain, polluting all the leaves upon the trees. The heavens were choked. We shut our eyes and suffered this disease the gods had sent. A long time later, the storm passed, and then we saw this girl, crying out bitterly, sharp sounds of grief, just like a bird which sees the bed inside her nest orphaned of young. When she saw the corpse was bare again, she groaned out loud and raised a bitter curse against the people who'd done it. Straightway she brought dry dust by hand, and from a beautifully engraved urn raised high, she poured a crown of 3 libations on the corpse. When we saw this, we all rushed there and hunted down our prey at once, but she was not disturbed. We questioned her about what she was doing and had done. She did not deny a thing. This gave me pleasure and some pain as well. It's most sweet to escape oneself from danger, but to bring someone you like into misfortune's bitter. Still, all that to me means less by far than saving my own skin.
You, with your face bowed down towards the ground, do you say or do you deny you did these things?
I say I did it. I do not deny what I have done.
Now, you can take yourself wherever you desire, free and released from this most heavy charge. You will now tell me, not at length, but in few words. Did you know I proclaim no one may bury him?
I knew it. How could I not know it? It was publicly decreed.
But you still dare to go beyond these laws?
Yes. For me, Zeus had not given these commands, and Justice, who lives with the gods beneath the earth, never marked out such laws for mortal men. Nor did I think your edict is so strong that he could override the unwritten and everlasting laws made by the gods. They are not just for yesterday and now. They live forever and no one knows when they appear. How could I ever think of paying the due penalty before the gods for breaking such great laws? Because I was afraid of one man's arrogant ideas. I knew that I will have to die. How could I not? Even without your edicts. If I die before my time, I will be better off. When someone lives in utter misery like me, how could death not be better? So, for me to meet this fate will bring no real pain. If I'd allow my mother's son to die and stay unburied, that would have been painful. This is not. And if right now you think I've been a fool, perhaps the charge of folly truly lies with you, the judge.
Look, the girl is savage as her father. Faced with suffering, she does not know how to give way.
Remember, over stubborn people fall most often, and the toughest iron, tempered all round to greatest hardness by the fire, you'll see most often snap to pieces. I know very bad-tempered horses have been tamed by tiny bridles. You cannot think big when you yourself are someone else's slave. This girl already knew how to be insolent when she transgressed the laws we had set down. And here's a second act of insolence, to boast about it and exult in what she's done. Truly, I am the man no longer. She's the man. If she can win this victory without a punishment, although she is my sister's child, if she were even closer to me than my family, she and her sister won't escape a most unpleasant death, for I accuse her of an equal share in planning for this burial. Bring her here now. I saw her recently inside the house, in frenzy, totally out of control. When people plan wrongdoing in the dark, the mind often convicts itself of secret crime. I also hate it when someone is caught and tries to make a deed of shame sound beautiful.
Do you want to do more than kill me?
No. That's all I want.
Then why do you delay? Nothing you say is pleasant to me, or would ever please me. And I'm sure you two hate every word of mine. What else could I have done which is more glorious than placing my dear brother in his grave? I know these men approve of what I've done, but fear has locked their tongues. Rulers have many privileges. One is that you can both do and say whatever you desire.
You are the only Theban who sees things this way.
These men see too, their mouths fall on your will.
Do you feel no shame if you think differently?
There is no shame in paying honour to your kin.
The man who died opposing him, was he not kin as well?
Yes, my mother's and my father's son.
Then why pay honours he will see as impious?
The dead man's corpse will not bear witness you are right.
He will, because you give the same respect to him as to our enemy.
That was his brother, not a slave that died.
Trying to conquer this, our land, while he defended it.
I don't care. Hades wants these rights.
A wicked man should not receive the same care as a good.
Who knows if that's not right among the dead below?
An enemy never deserves love, even when he's dead.
I was not born to hate my relatives, but to give them my love.
If you want to give love, go to the underworld and love them there. No woman will rule over me while I'm alive.
Ismene has been brought outside, pouring out tears of love for her sister. A cloud of grief casts shades of sorrow over her flushed face and drenches her fair cheeks.
You lurked snake-like inside the house and drank my lifeblood secretly, so I was ignorant of nurturing two revolutionary, destructive girls. Now tell me, did you have a share in burying that man, or will you swear your innocence?
I did the deed. If she will let me, I won't take my share of blame.
Justice will not allow you to do that. Because you did not want to, and I did not share my deed with you.
But now you're in trouble. I'm not ashamed to sail with you across this sea of suffering.
Hades and those below know who buried him. I cannot love a friend who is a friend in words alone.
My sister, please do not reject me. Let me die with you and fade you on into the dead.
You cannot share my death. And cannot claim work which you did not touch. My death will be enough.
How could I want to live if I lose you?
Ask Kreon. You depend on him.
Why do you taunt me? It will not help you.
If I am mocking you, it hurts me too.
What else could I do now to help?
Save yourself. I won't be jealous if you can survive.
I'm desperate. Will you not let me share your fate?
No. You chose to live while I chose death.
I spoke. I tried to stop you.
People up here approved of your ideas. The death of mine.
But now we are both equally condemned.
Take courage. You are still alive. But my soul died some time ago, so I can help the dead.
I think that of these two girls, one has just gone mad. The other always was.
Yes, my lord, when people suffer, they cannot always stay sane.
You didn't, when you chose to join with her in wickedness.
Why should I want to live alone without her?
This girl. Don't speak of her. She is already dead.
Will you kill her, engaged to your own son?
Other women have furrows he can plough.
No one was ever bound so close as him to her.
I will not let my sons get wifeless wives.
Oh, dearest Haimon, how your father wrongs you.
You and your bedroom talk are getting on my nerves.
Will you take her away from your own son?
For me, Hades himself will stop their wedding plans.
So it is certain she must die?
On that, we are agreed. No more delay. Take her inside. These women must be taken from this place and not allowed to roam at large. Even brave people try to run away when they see Hades coming near to end their lives.
Blessed are all who live without tasting misfortune. When a house is shaken by the gods, disaster never stops, creeping across the generations like the surge of the salt sea, driven by fierce winds from Thrace across the darkness of the dead. It churns the black sand from the depths, and headlands, struck by bitter winds, cry out and groan.
From long ago I've seen that in our royal house, new sorrows fall upon the sorrows of the dead. No generation frees the next, but some god strikes them down and there is no escape. In Oedipus' house, the light was scattered faintly above the last roots of the family. But now, the bloody knife of the infernal gods cuts it away with crazy speech and furies in the mind.
What human outrage, Zeus, could ever check your power? The power which neither all-ensnaring sleep nor the gods' unrelenting months can overcome. Time does not age you, but you are the lord of all Olympus' dazzling splendor. Soon and forever, as in all past time, this law will hold. No human being gains great wealth without disaster.
Hope wanders far and wide, brings benefit to many, but to others the false lure of empty needs. He creeps upon someone who does not know until he's burnt his foot on the hot fire. A wise man said these famous words: evil seems good when a god leads someone to destruction, but the humble man survives without disaster.
Here is Haimon, your last son. Does he come in pain about the death of his bride, his Antigone, and very bitter for the marriage he has lost?
We will soon know, better than prophets. Son, are you here in frenzied rage against your father for my fixed decision that your bride must die? Or are you on my side, whatever I may do?
Father, I'm yours. Your good advice sets out the path which I will follow. I could not ever think a marriage matters more to me than your fine leadership.
Son, hold this close to your heart, that you must always stand behind your father's will. All men pray they will have obedient children in their homes, to pay their father's enemies back their deserts, and show their father's friends the same respect as he. When a man fathers useless children, what could you say but that he's sown himself a crop of trouble and his enemies will laugh at him? My son, don't let desire for pleasure make you lose your senses for a woman. It's a very cold embrace if the partner in your house is treacherous. Is there a greater wound than having such a person in your family? Spit her away as if she's an enemy, and let the girl marry someone in Hades. Since I caught her alone of the whole city, in open disobedience to me, I will not be made a liar in the city. I'll kill her. She can call on Zeus, the god of kinship. But if I let anarchy prevail among my relatives, I'll get it from others as well. A man who proves his excellence at managing his house always acts rightly in the city too. If someone goes beyond good discipline, attacks the law, or thinks they can give orders to the rulers, he cannot win my praise. The person whom the city set in charge must be obeyed, in small things as in great, just and less just. And I am confident that such a man will both rule well and cheerfully be ruled. And in the storm of battle he would stand where he is set, a good and loyal comrade. Anarchy is the greatest of all evils. It destroys cities, uproots homes, and it has broken ranks of faithful allies up in rout. Those who live in the right way are usually preserved by their obedience. So we must guard with care the order in our lives. And never, no way, let a woman conquer us. Much better if we must, to be defeated by a man. No one could say we're weaker than the women.
Advancing age may have deprived us of our wits, but we think what you say is sensible and wise.
Father, the gods give wisdom to mankind, and it is far the best of all their gifts. I could not, and I would not try to tell whether what you have said is right. But it is not your nature to anticipate all that people might say, or do, or criticize. Your eye is far too terrifying for the average citizen to say things that you do not want to hear. But I can hear the whispers in the dark. The city's weeping for this girl, saying that of all women she the least deserves to die, so shamefully, when what she did was very glorious. When her dear brother fell upon the battlefield, she would not let him stay unburied for the savage dogs and birds to eat. Is she not worthy to be crowned with gold? These are the words that go in silent darkness round this town. My father, there is nothing in my life I value more than you and your success. What greater treasure could children acquire than their father's achievements, or a father than his sons? So do not wear one attitude unchanged, believing you and no one else are right. A man who thinks that he alone is wise and has no equal in his eloquence or mind, when opened out, they're found to be bereft of sense. It is not shameful for a man to learn, even if he is wise, and not stand too firm. Beside a stream in winter flood, you see how trees that bend save every twig, while those that resist perish root and branch. A ship's captain who holds the sheet tight stretched and never slackens it, capsizes and completes his voyage upside down. So stop being so angry and allow yourself to change. If I, a younger man, may be allowed to say what I think, it would be far better for mankind if we were always born with wisdom. Since the scales often tilt against us, it's good to learn from those who say the truth.
Yeah, my lord, if he said something timely, you should learn from him. And he from you, you've both spoken well.
Do you really think that men at our age must learn how to think from one so young?
Nothing that's wrong, and though I'm young, you should look rather at what I've achieved.
Is it a fine achievement to support rebellion?
I would not ask you to support someone who has done wrong.
And is that not precisely the disease she's caused?
The people of this city as a whole say no.
The city's going to tell me what decisions I must make?
Can't you see that's a very immature remark?
Is anybody else but me supposed to rule this land?
There is no city if it's made up of one man.
Isn't the city usually thought to belong to the ruler?
You'd make a very good king. On a desert island.
It seems my son is fighting on the woman's side.
If you're the woman, it's for you I care.
Outrageous! Will you bandy with your father talk of rights?
Yes, you have made a terrible mistake about what's right.
How could I pay due respect to my own powers?
You pay them no respect, trampling on the gods' dues.
You piece of scum worth less than a woman.
You never catch me acting shamefully.
But every word you say sticks up for her.
And you, and me, and the gods of the underworld.
You'll never marry her while she is still alive.
So she must die. It will kill someone else.
Are you so bold you can make open threats?
Where is the threat? Just telling you what I think.
Your thoughts are empty and you will regret them all.
If you were not my father, I would say you're a fool.
You are a woman's slave. Do not pretend to be my son.
Do you want to speak and then hear no reply?
If you think that by heaven and all the gods know this, I'll make you suffer for insulting me. Bring out that filthy bitch. She'll die here now before his eyes, right at her bridegroom's side.
No! Do not ever think it. She won't die right at my side, and you will never set eyes on my face again. If any of your friends still wants to listen, read and write to them.
My lord, he's gone in anger and in haste. A young man's thoughts are dangerous when he's suffering.
Off he can go, to think and act beyond the bounds of sense. He will not save those two girls from their fate.
Do you intend to kill them both?
Not the one who didn't touch the body, you are right.
How do you plan to kill the other one?
I'll take her to a place where people never go. and hide her, still alive in a rock cave, giving her just enough to eat, so that our city will avoid pollution and the anger of the gods. She only worships Hades. She can pray to him, and then perhaps she will be saved from death. Or rather, she will learn, too late, that paying honours to the dead is very dangerous.
Passion, unconquerable. Passion, destroyer of wealth. You spend your nights on watch beside a young girl's gentle cheeks. You roam across the sea by the wild men's huts. Not one of the immortals can escape you, nor of us creatures who lives just a day. The one who you possess goes mad.
You warp good minds and turn them bad to their ruin. You stir the strife inside a family, and the desire which shines out from the eyes of an attractive bride conquers. It is enthroned in power. Besides the greatest divine laws, the love goddess sports with her prey, unbeatable.
I too am forced to go beyond the laws of loyalty, and I cannot restrain the streams of tears, seeing Antigone go to the bridal chamber where all rest in death.
Citizens of this, my father's land, you see me going on my last journey, seeing the sunlight one last time and never any more. Hades, who lays us all to rest, will drag me still alive towards the shores of Acheron. I've never heard the escort song for a new bride, and no one sang a morning song for me after my wedding night. I will be married to the Lord of Death.
So you will go, famous and praised, to where the dead lie hidden, not stricken by a lingering disease, not paying for a life of violence. You alone have chosen to go down to Hades while still living.
I've heard about the very miserable death upon Mount Sipylus of Niobe, who came here once from Lydia. Like clinging ivy, the stone grew and overcame her. People say that as she wastes away, rain and snow never leave her. Tears pour from underneath her eyebrows and fall down her neck. The gods are giving me a final resting place like hers.
She was divine, the daughter of a goddess. We are human beings, mortal in our parentage. Still, it's a great achievement for a woman if you share the fate of one who is a demigod, both in your life and after you are dead.
You mock me. By my father's gods, can you not wait to insult me till I am gone? Not throw this in my face. This is my city, and you are its richest men. Springs of the river Dirce, sacred groves of Thebe. I at least have you as witnesses that I am bereft of friends to weep for me. Look at the law which makes me go into the rock-closed prison of this strange new burial place. Poor me, without a home among the living, nor among the corpses. I will be neither alive nor dead.
You went to the limits of daring, girl, and struck your foot against the mighty throne of justice up above. You're paying for some of your father's suffering.
Now you touch upon the bitterest of my thoughts. My constant grief about my father, and the miserable fate of us, the famous house of Labdacos. Think of the horror. My own mother was ruined when she slept in incest with the son whom she herself had borne. He was my father. I am their wretched child. I am accursed. I am not married. I must go to share their house. Oh, brother, so ill fated was your marriage that in death you have destroyed my life.
Your reverence is a kind of piety, but no one who has power can tolerate defiance of that power. Obstinate and willful, you've destroyed yourself.
Without a tear shed for me, without friend or husband, I go in my misery upon the road they have prepared for me. This is my sorrow. I must never see again the sacred sunlight. Not one friend will weep. I'll cry in grief for my fate.
You know, no one would ever cease from pouring out songs and laments before they died, if they were allowed. Take her away as fast as possible, and shroud her in her vaulted cave tomb as I've ordered. Leave her alone, then she can choose to die or live entombed and treated as a home. We will not be defiled by anything to do with her, but she will never live up here again.
2. Bridal chamber. Everlasting prison carved out of the rock. I go to you to find my family. The many who have perished whom Persephone has welcomed to the company of the dead. I'm the last of you to go. And I am by far the most unfortunate because I come before my natural span of life. I know to this one hope, that when I come, I will be welcome to my father, and to you, mother, and especially to you, dear brother. When you died, with my own hands I washed you, dressed you, and I poured the offerings upon your graves. I may see my recompense for tending your dead body. But anyone with wisdom knows that I was right. If I had been a mother and it was my children, or a husband had been mouldering in death, I never would have done this in defiance of the citizens. By what law am I right to say this? If my husband were dead, I could have found another one. And someone else's child if I lost his. But now my mother and my father rest in Hades, I can't ever see another brother grow. That is the law by which I gave the pride of place to you. But dearest brother, Kreon thought this was terribly wrong and I behaved outrageously. So now I am his prisoner, and he'll take me away. No wedding night, no bridal song. Not any part of all the joys of marriage and of raising children. Yes, my fate is horrible. I'll go bereft of friends while still alive into the vaults made for the dead. What justice of the gods have I transgressed? In this misery, why should I turn my eyes to heaven? Which god could I call to help? I've shown true piety and now they say I'm impious. If the gods are happy with my fate, the suffering will teach me I've been wrong. But if these men are wrong, I would not want them suffering more than they unjustly do to me.
The same gusts of the same wind still command her soul.
Her escort will be punished for their slackness.
Oh God, these words mean that my death is very near.
Let me advise you not to hope it will not happen.
Oh, city of my fathers in this land of Thebe, gods who are my ancestors, I'm being taken, there's no more delay. Rulers of Thebes, look at me now, the last descendant of the royal house. See what is being done to me, and by what kind of men? Because I showed true piety.
Danae was beautiful, but she was forced to leave the light of day for walls of bronze, and she was held fast in a chamber like the grave. Child, she too was noble, and she nurtured Zeus' precious golden shower of seed. Destiny has fearful power. Not wealth, nor war, nor city walls, nor black sea-beaten ships escape.
Lycurgus, hot-tempered king of the Edonians, was also bound. For his insults, Dionysus walled him inside a rocky prison. There, the terrible and ever-flowering strength of madness stripped away. He came to know the god whom in his madness he'd abused. He tried to stop the Maenads and the holy fire, and he annoyed the muses who adore the music of the flute.
Beside the dark rocks lie the shores of Bosporus, which joins the twin seas, and Thracian Salmydessos, where the god of war, who lives nearby, once saw the fearful wound which Phineus' second wife in frenzy dealt to his 2 sons. She blinded them. Their sightless eyes cried out for vengeance, mutilated by the needlepoint held in her bloody hands.
Poor boys. They pined away mourning their cruel fate. Children whose mother had married disastrously. She once was a queen, related to the ancient royal family of Athens. But she'd grown up in distant caves among her father Boreas storms to ride as fast as horses on the mountain range. Child of gods, but the eternal goddesses of destiny even caught her.
Leaders of Thebes, we've come together. One seeing for 2. The blind can only walk with a guide's help.
Aged Teiresias, what's happened?
I will tell you. Listen to the prophet.
I have not yet ignored your thoughts.
That's why you've steered this city right. So far.
I've felt and can bear witness to your help.
Then know that now you've gone right to the sharpened edge of fate.
What do you mean? I fear what you will say.
You'll realize when you hear the signs my skill has given me. As I went to the ancient throne I use for augury, the haven which I keep for every kind of bird, I hear bird noises new to me. They're crying out in furious rage and making coarse, barbaric sounds. I realized they were tearing at each other, talons stained with blood. The flapping of their wings left me no doubt. I was afraid and straightway tried to make burnt sacrifice upon an altar in full flame. But the fire god would not burn up my offerings. A dank moisture seeped from the thigh bones, trickled down onto the embers, smoked and sputtered. Gore was scattered to the air, and dripping thighs lay bare of all the fat which had concealed them. That's what this boy told me, about the failure of the rites, by which I asked for guidance and received no sign. He leads me, I lead other men. The city is diseased because of your decree. The birds and dogs are filling all our altars and our hearts with human flesh, torn from that corpse, the wretched son of Oedipus. That's why the gods will not accept our prayers and sacrifices, or the flame from offerings of burnt meat. Birds' cries will not shriek out clear signs, because they feasted on a dead man's clotted blood. Now think, my son, all human beings make mistakes, but once we have, a man regains his wisdom and is blessed, who cures the harm he's caused and does not stay unmoved. Self-will can turn out to be foolishness. Pay the dead man his dues. Do not stab one who has already perished. Is it a sign of strength to kill him once again? I'm on your side, and this is good advice. Learning from a good adviser is very pleasant if what he says brings gain.
Reverend sir, you all shoot arrows at this man like archers at a target. I've been wounded in the past by seercraft. Many times people like you have sold me and delivered me like merchandise. Trade, make your profits how you like, in silver alloy from Sardis, if that is what you fancy, or in gold from India. You will not hide him in a tomb, not even if the eagles of Lord Zeus decide to seize his flesh and take it to their master's throne. I don't fear that pollution, so I won't permit his burial, for I am sure that no mere mortal can pollute the gods. The fall is very shameful, old Teiresias, when very clever people express shameful thoughts with eloquence for profit.
Ah, does any human being know? Does anything?
Think what? What gem of insight do you have for us?
That wisdom is most powerful of all possessions.
Folly, I think, is the most harmful.
That's the disease by which you are possessed.
I would not want to trade insults with you, prophet.
You have already, when you said my prophecies are lies.
All prophets have a love of money.
All rulers make immoral gains.
Do you not realize you are saying this about your king?
I know. With my help you have saved this city.
You are a clever prophet, but corrupt.
You will stir me to utter secrets better left alone.
Stir them, unless he speaks simply to make a profit.
Is that really how I seem to you?
Just know that my resolve is not for sale.
Then learn. that you won't live through very many circuits of the speeding sun before you will have given someone sprung from your own loins as corpse in payment for the corpses. You have cast someone from up here down below, outrageously confined a living soul inside a tomb, and you have withheld from the underworld a corpse who lacks his just deserts, his burial rites, his sacred dues. You have no business with him now, nor of the gods above, so you do violence to them. Therefore you will be mutilated and destroyed when you are caught by furies sent by Hades and the gods. So your own wicked deeds will catch you. Well now, consider if I speak these words because of bribery. Wait very little time, and you will hear an outcry from the men and women of your house. In hatred of you, the whole city is now stirred because the dogs have helped to bury his mangled remains. And wild beasts and winged birds, which have brought back the stench of the pollution to the city's hearths. You have provoked me. In my anger, I've become an archer aiming arrows at your heart. Not one of them will miss. You won't escape the pain. Boy, take me home. He can let loose his temper against younger men. He will learn to develop a much gentler tongue and greater wisdom than he has just now.
My lord, he's gone, and what he prophesied was terrible. I know for certain he has never given us predictions which were lies.
I know that too. My mind's disturbed. It would be frightful if I yield, but should I stand firm, my anger may be caught in ruin's net.
Son of Menocius, it is time you took some good advice.
What must I do? Tell me, I will obey.
First, go and get the girl out of that chamber in the rock. Then raise a burial mound over the dead.
Is that what you advise? You think I must give way?
My lord, as fast as possible. Damage is sent by the gods are swift of foot and cut down foolish men.
It's hard, but I abandon my cherished resolve and I will do it. Fighting against necessity is bad.
Then go and do it. Do not give the task to other men.
I'll go, just as I am. Come, come, my men, both near and far. Take pickaxes and rush out to that hill which you can see. Now that my judgment has been turned around, I put the girl in prison and will go myself to set her free. I'm afraid it may be best to reverence the laws established by the gods right through your life.
O god of many names, delight of Theban Semele, offspring of Zeus, the god of mighty thunder, guardian of glorious Italia, you're the ruler of Demeter's plain at Eleusis, where all are welcome. O Bacchus, you live in Thebes, the mother city of Bacchantes, by the gentle stream of Ismenos, and on the soil in which the savage dragon's teeth were sown.
On the high ground above the twin peaks you've been seen, by fitful glare of smoky torches, where the nymphs of Coricus, your devotees, stream past, in the Castalian spring. The hills of Nysa crowned with ivy, and the coastline green with many clustered vines send you to us. Choruses sing your praise in chants of superhuman power as you frequent the streets of Thebes.
You hold this city first in honor, more than any other, you and your mother whom the lightning struck. So now, when violent disease holds our whole city and its people fast, come with your healing powers across the heights of Parnassus, or across the groaning sea strait.
O leader of the dance of fiery stars, O master of the voices in the night, son of Zeus, appear before us, king, and bring your Bacchant women who will dance in frenzy all night long to honor you. Giver of every good and ill.
Yagos!
Distinguished citizens of Thebes, no human life ever achieves a point of rest where one can simply praise or blame. From day to day, chance lifts up and casts down men who are doing well or badly, and no one can foretell what is secure. As I saw him, Kreon was enviable. He saved Thebes from our enemies, took the supreme power and guided us. He had good health and was the father of 2 noble sons. Now, that has all been lost. For I believe that when a man will never enjoy anything again, he does not count as living, but as just an animated corpse. Heap up great riches if you like inside your house. Live inside the trappings of a tyrant. But if there's no joy, I would not give a man the shadow of a wisp of smoke for all the rest.
What's happened to our royal family? What have you come to tell?
They're dead. The living caused their deaths.
Who's done the killing? Who is dead? Tell us.
Haimon is dead. Kindred blood has been shed.
Did he die by his father's hand or by his own?
He killed himself in anger at his father for the murder of his girl.
Prophet, your words were all too true.
That's what has happened. You must now plan what to do.
Look, I see unfortunate Eurydice, the wife of Kreon. She's come from the house either because she's heard about her son, or by mischance.
Men of this town, I heard some of what he said as I was leaving, on my way to supplicate the goddess Pallas with my prayers. When I was just about to open up the doors, the news of some disaster to my household reached my ears. Terror-struck, I fell back fainting in the arms of my maidservants. Now, tell the news again. I am not inexperienced in suffering. I'll listen.
Dear lady, I was there. I'll speak as an eyewitness. And I will not leave any of the truth unspoken. Why should I try to treat you gently if I'd soon be proved a liar? Truth is always best. I joined your husband as his guide and led him out to the far end of Thebes' plain, where Polynike's body still lay, without pity, torn by dogs. We prayed first to Pluto and Hecate not to let loose their anger, but be kind to us. Then we washed the corpse with holy water and with fresh cut branches burned up what was left of him. We piled up a high burial mound made of his native soil and went straight to the cave where that poor girl was married on a bed of stone to death. But at a distance, someone heard loud cries from near that chamber for a bride bereft of funeral gifts. He met us and told Lord Kreon. Those incoherent cries of misery surrounded him as he crept nearer. Then he groaned and said in bitter anguish, I am born to misery. Am I a prophet? Am I creeping on the most terrible path that I've ever walked? My son's voice greets my ears. Rush on ahead, my men, and when you reach the tomb, pass through that gap in the great pile of rocks and go right to the inner chamber. Find out if I hear Haimon's voice or if the gods deceive me. Such was the order Kreon gave in his despair. We searched, and in the inmost part of the rock tomb, we saw her, hanging by the neck, slung by a noose of fine linen. He lay, clasping her round her waist, pouring out grief because his bride was dead. His father killed her, and his marriage was destroyed. When Kreon saw him, he gave a dreadful cry and went inside and croaked these words to them. You crazy girl, what have you done? What thoughts possessed you? Were you driven mad by suffering? My son, come out, I beg you. I implore you. The boy looked at him with wild eyes, spat in his face, made no reply, drew his sharp dagger, but his father ran back out in terror, so he missed. Then in his misery, disgusted with himself, he strained it once against the blade, drove half of its length to his chest. While still conscious, he clasped her in one last languishing embrace. And as he gasped for breath, he coughed a swiftly flowing stream of dripping blood on her pale cheek. He lies there, corpse embracing corpse. Poor boy, he's got his wedding in the halls of Hades. He's proved to all mankind that lack of sense is the worst evil which can fall on man.
What do you think will happen? She just turned and gone back in without a word of any kind.
I'm surprised as well, but I feed on the hope that when she heard about the sufferings of her son, she did not want to show her grief out in the city, but went back inside to make her maid share her private laments. She's thoughtful and experienced. She'll not act foolishly.
I'm not so sure. To me, that lengthy silence is as dangerous as lots of futile cries.
I will go into the house and make sure she doesn't conceal inside a burning heart some strange, suppressed resolve. You give me good advice. There is great danger in so long a silence.
Here comes the king himself. His hands are carried, if we may say this, a clear memorial not to anyone else's madness, but to his own folly.
Oh, the folly of the darkness in my mind! Stubborn and deadly! Look at us! The father who has killed, and his dead son. Lament for me, cursed with stupidity! My son, your life is ended, so young, so recently. You've died, you've left us, not through your own foolishness, but mine.
You seem to see the truth too late.
Oh, I know. I'm miserable. I think a god cast some stupendous weight down on my head, drove me to paths of cruelty and overturned and trampled on my joy. The suffering of humanity is very hard to bear.
My lord, another burden lies in store for you. You have one in your hands, but when you go into your house, you'll soon see yet more horror.
What worse horror could follow this?
Your wife, true mother of this boy, is dead. The miserable woman has just stabbed herself.
Oh! Hades' insatiable final resting place! Why are you ruining me? You, messenger of horror, monstrous grief! What are you saying? I was already dead, and you have killed me once again! Boy, what is this news? Another bloody death? My wife is slain as well?
It is no longer hidden. You can see.
Ah! A second horror added to my suffering! What destiny still waits for me? I have just held my son's corpse in my hands, and now I see another corpse confronting me. Poor, wretched mother, and poor child.
She struck herself with a sharp sword and let her eyes close into darkness after she had wept over the empty bed of her first son, already dead, and then over Haimon's. With her last breath, she called upon the gods to bring misfortune on you, killer of her sons.
Ah! Ah! The terror paralyzes me! Will one of you not cut me down with a sharp sword? I'm a miserable wretch, and steeped in misery.
Yes, this dead woman put the blame on you, both for these deaths and those before.
How did she kill herself?
She struck below the liver with her own hand. As soon as she heard about Haimon's bitter death.
And I can never make the blame for this pass on to anybody else but me. I killed you. I'm a pitiable fool and I killed you. I did it. I can speak the truth. Take me as fast as possible. Take me away. I am less than nothing. I do not exist.
That would be good. If anything can be good here. With horror lying at our feet, least speech is best.
Come, come, appear before me, radiant fate that brings me my last day, my supreme bliss. Come, come, I do not want to ever see another day.
That is the future. Others must determine it. We must do something with what lies before us.
All that I want was summed up in that prayer.
Not now pray for anything. No mortal man escapes from a disaster which has been ordained.
Take this useless man away! Against my will, I killed both you, my son, and you, my wife. I'm wretched. I don't know where I should go, where to find rest. All that I touch is wrong, and an unbearable fate has leapt onto my head.
By far the most important need for happiness is wisdom. We must never deviate from reverence for the gods.
Great words spoken by men with too much pride are paid for with great blows. And in old age, they learn they should be wise.
In his book on the theory of tragedy, Aristotle repeatedly tells us that tragedy must create in the spectators the emotions of pity and fear. And W.B. Stanford, in his book Greek Tragedy and the Emotions, has gathered other ancient evidence which shows that in production these dramas were designed to have an emotional impact as well as an intellectual effect on their spectators. In Antigone, scene after scene generates powerful, bitter confrontations, first between sisters and then crossing the boundaries of age, gender and status, until 3 lives are lost and 2 families have been destroyed. In this production, we attempted to oppose the all too frequent tendency to present Greek tragedy as stylized, remote from the world of the modern spectators. This process began with the casting. For Antigone, rather than the almost operatic woman in her late 20s or early 30s, whom we often see in the role, I chose a woman of slender build who would truly look like a young, unmarried Greek girl. Helen Atkinson was 19 when she recorded the role. And I chose to see Kreon not as an elderly patriarch, but as a vigorous, middle-aged warlord. Unlike the directors of some professional productions, we cast a young woman as Ismene who could credibly look like Antigone's sister. And as you have seen, we used modern dress. All this was not done in a futile quest to make Greek tragedy realistic in the same way that, say, a Chekhov play is realistic. There is in Antigone none of the in-depth characterization which is found in modern naturalistic drama. But there is a great deal of psychological subtlety in the interactions between the characters, and the nuances implied by Sophocles' text can, we believe, be brought out in a production given an appropriate modern setting. If this is done, some of the power and intensity of the original production might be recreated for audiences today. The metaphor of Sarajevo had two great advantages. It provided a modern setting in which Kreon's natural assumption that adult males are superior to women and boys has credibility, as it would not in an Australian, American or British setting. And it allowed us to use details of costume to highlight the differences between the characters. For example, Antigone, who enters and challenges the world of men, wears jeans, while Ismene wears a skirt and Eurydice a dress. Similarly, Antigone wears a coloured scarf as her only concession to the Muslim requirement for females to cover their hair, while Ismene and Eurydice appear in public only fully veiled. Costume and makeup also enabled us to bring out the fact that of all the characters who reappear in the drama, only the guard comes back happier than before. Every other character suffers a change for the worse, and this production brought that out in their physical appearance. In the live performances, the most impact was made by the reappearance of the bodyguard to deliver the narrative in Scene 7. He had formerly been impeccable in his Neo-SS uniform, but now he came back dishevelled and filthy from the effort of pulling the rocks away to get into the tomb. All Greek tragedies consisted of an alternation between spoken scenes and lyric passages, normally sung and danced by the Choros, though sometimes, as in Scene 5 of Antigone, solo actors sung and danced as well. We decided not to use song, fearing it might sound dangerously operatic, but we made an absolute decision to mark out the passages that were in lyric verse in the original, and so were sung and danced, from the remainder of the text. In this production, music was always and only used where Sophocles used music. All of the choral odes and Antigone's Dance of Death in Scene 5 used both music and dance, and we used a different lighting style, with the playing space blotched and darkened for the lyric sections. This was intended to help a modern audience to appreciate the contrast between the cut and thrust of the dialogue scenes and the more reflective manner of the dance parts of the text. We also echoed the original conventions for entry and exit. There were three ways into the orchestra, the dance floor which was the playing space: through the doors of the Skene facade, which in this drama represents the royal house which Kreon has just inherited; from Skene left, audience right, the route to downtown Thebes; and from Skene right, audience left, the route to the hills outside the city, to Polonike's body and to Antigone's tomb. The first two characters to appear are the two sisters, who come out confidently from the palace. Kreon, by contrast, arrives later from downtown. In this way, Sophocles ingeniously shows Kreon's insecurity. What should be his headquarters appears to him almost from the start solely as the place where females plot against him. And this dominance of the Skene by women extends right to the end of the drama, when he is forced to confront Eurydice's corpse, brought out from it to match Haimon's. And not one single character comes to Kreon, either from downtown or from the hills, to bring him good news. Unlike almost any other character in Greek tragedy, he is trapped inside the orchestra circle. Finally, a word about the use of space. Many years of workshopping and directing Greek tragedy have enabled me to learn some of the ways in which the circle, surrounded on 2/3 of its circumference by the audience, works as a performance space. And with my actors, I have come to realize how very different its dynamics are from those of the proscenium arch stage. For example, actors can, and in this production often do, turn their backs on parts of the audience for substantial sections of the performance. The centre of the circle is the most powerful position, and the next most powerful is back centre, just in front of the entrance doors. An actor entering from the Skene pulls focus back to him, but gains increasing power the nearer he comes to the centre of the circle. As he goes forward past the centre, however, he loses power because less and less of the spectators can see his face. These basic features of the space can be used in quite sophisticated ways. Take, for example, the opening of Scene 3, where in this production Antigone is frog-marched in and hurled across to fall on the ground at the centre of the orchestra. Her prone position and the fact that she is an unarmed female, who, as we shall see later, has been badly beaten up by her captors, make her obviously powerless when surrounded by 3 armed and 5 unarmed males, especially as Kreon is standing on the power line from rear centre to centre. But she has only to stand up in this central position and advance up the centre lines towards Kreon, and the power of her words, together with the power given to her by this position in the orchestra, converts her position of powerlessness into a position of power. These are some of the insights which we gained while working on this production of Antigone. The rest of what we learned will be published in the introduction and notes to this translation, which will appear in the first volume of the new Everyman Sophocles, currently scheduled for publication in 1998. Thank you very much for your interest in this video recording.